The outdoors belongs to everybody. The trees don't care what color you are. I'm Katina Grays. I'm 45 years old. I am the outdoor Afro leader in the New York City community.
There's not much ticks in, the Bronx or anywhere.
No, definitely not in the Bronx. For Serafina, I want her being in nature to be such a fluid part of just how she grew up that she will never have to explain to someone why did she start hiking as a Black person.
When we went hiking this time, it was a little longer than the other one.
Yeah, it was really much longer.
Yeah, and I walked 5 whole miles.
I think I've always known that the trails that I was hiking on wasn't diverse. I took it as, what can I do? I do believe if you see something that you want to be different, you actually have to be a part of providing that solution. I'd been an avid hiker before becoming an Outdoor Afro leader, but I'd followed Outdoor Afro on social media. In their Instagram account, they post amazing pictures of Black people enjoying the outdoors. It's sort of like to disrupt the visual representation of hikers are tall, thin, Nordic, blonde people. We want to remove barriers to entry for folks to experience the outdoors, and it feels like a calling. It feels like something that needs to happen.
Hopefully let's go to that mess up the elevator.
Let's hope not, right? In New York, one of the things I get more often than not is transportation. I am also a New Yorker who doesn't have a car. A lot of folks here don't, and so that's a huge barrier to entry. I had to learn how to access the outdoors here.
Did you see how high I went?
Our new hikers with us say as to why they've never hiked before. I don't really like bugs. I don't like to sweat. Because of the history of keeping Black people from public spaces in the outdoors, we actually need to understand that some of those fears are not just about bugs. I think it's important that we're honest about the history of our country, in that there was a time when, pools were segregated and parks were segregated. That experience is real, and some of that, I don't know if you call it historical memory, right? That sort of runs through generations of people, can very much affect whether you feel safe outside. But through Outdoor Afro, what we're trying to do is actually really build a community so that folks understand that we can talk about that sort of raw past and why it matters that we're outside now, and why it matters that we also reclaim these spaces that belong to all of us. We don't charge people for hikes. Financial implications of how folks get to and from trails is something that I think about all the time. From an environmental impact perspective, I actually think it's wonderful that I can get a whole group of people to a hike using public transit. We tend to do an opening circle so folks get an opportunity to introduce themselves.
I'm Reggie. I live in the Bronx.
My name is Diane. I am from Harlem.
I have always people who are new to the group. Diane is new to us today, so welcome, Diane. And I have people who are usually returners on every hike.
There is this perception that Black people don't do outdoor things, and I do a lot of outdoor things. It's just that oftentimes I'm out doing things and I'm the only one in the group who looks like me.
What's nice is seeing people who started with me, a couple years ago, and they had never been to an Outdoor Afro event. 3 years later, they're part of my returning crew and they're welcoming new people. Every event is an opportunity to share Black history. Initially, George Washington was against Blacks being in the Revolutionary Army, but the British governor of Virginia actually put out an offer that said, any slave that ran away to freedom to join the British Army, you would be given your freedom. So that actually led to George Washington really having to change his position. Being an Outdoor Afro leader has actually been an emotional experience for me in a couple of ways. I realized, wow, I found my people, I found my tribe. This sense of belonging is deeply emotional for me. So last year I was a part of the Outdoor Afro team that climbed Kilimanjaro. That whole experience was emotional, and it was emotional before we left. And then to be able to share that experience with my daughter is so deeply meaningful to me. And I think because what I learned, what I experienced with people, I get to pour that back into her.
Serafina, what do you think of the waterfall?
I like it really a lot.
You do? Why?
Because it's so loud and I love the way it's coming down through the rock.
we are creating space for the next generation of Black people to really have this experience. The outdoors belongs to everybody. And I think that's true across folks who are differently abled, across folks who are different sizes, come from different socioeconomic backgrounds. Hikers look like me, they look like you, they look like lots of people.